everybody. Welcome to podcast episode 13 with Morgan Copeland of TextLocate. Got to get into this appless tracking for truckers. What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going, Alex?
Good, man. It's good. I'm happy I can hear you at least. I couldn't hear the intro music, but
Yeah, I was jamming out to that beat. Kind of prepping for it. I was like, all right, let's go.
You should have seen some guests don't know it's coming and it kind of scares them off the start. So it's always a good time.
Yeah, no, I'm here for it. Sets the
Love
tone.
the background, man. Love the TextLocate. We got it in the top right corner. We got it behind you. It's looking good.
Oh,
man.
yeah. It's definitely, we got the brick wall. We got the TextLocate sign whenever we got customers or people visiting. We got the selfie with them with the sign. So try to make it nice and iconic,
Yeah, it definitely beats the hell out of my old era kitchen that I got going on. But I'm trying to level that up.
You got the flag in the background. It's a work in progress,
Yeah, we got the flag back. We've returned with the flag after a few episodes, so I'm happy about that. But let's not waste any time. Let's get into it. How did you get into logistics?
Yeah, so I mean, my career path post college has been all over the place. So after graduating college, I had a landscaping business that I did. I did that for about a year and a half, just doing odd jobs, landscaping work. And then I got connected with a smaller brokerage here in Chattanooga, Tennessee called Link Logistics. So got recruited there as a broker, worked there, I guess that was 2018 to 2019. And then so it was about like a year that I was working there, ran a lot of more flatbed freight. That was kind of my sweet spot. And then COVID hit, people freaked out. So that was kind of my exit from logistics. And then I worked for a recruiting company. This is the weirdest job that you'll hear. I worked for a company called My Nanny. And it was a startup. I was the second hire, and we recruited nannies and mannies for really rich people.
Bro, this guy said mannies, bro.
Yeah. Yep. It's super random, but it was a fun time. So, being the second hire there, I got a taste of the startup life. And that was a lot of fun to grow a business, to learn about that entire process. And then after that, I was like, hey, I've done logistics. Don't know if I want to go back to that. I just worked a startup. That's a grind. I don't know. And so, of course, I get connected with a logistics startup. And I've been working here for...
You got the best of both worlds there.
Yeah, I got roped back in. Logistics pulls you back in for sure. That's kind of what you hear across the board, but I've really enjoyed it. Love my team, love the company, and I've been here for about coming up on 2 years. So it's been a great ride.
Say that it's across the board that logistics ropes you back in, because I had interviewed a broker based in Serbia for the European market. And he equated it to like drugs, like once you get a taste of logistics, you're hooked.
Yeah,
it's just always like that across the board. So, I mean, once you dip your toes in it, it's just kind of tough to get out of.
Yeah.
And funny enough that you got out of it during the whole COVID thing, because that's when it got really interesting, really fast.
Yeah. I was like, I remember I had just kind of gotten my foot in the door with Lazy Boy. And then the next week I was out of the door. So I was like, oh, shoot. Retrospectively, that would have been nice. But at the same time,
being in Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's not really
out.
a surprise to me to hear that you ended up in brokerage, fresh out of university. So.
I didn't realize like how extensive it was here in Chattanooga until you really get into things. So we work with pretty much most of the major brokerages here in town, but it's really cool because we have such a tight-knit community. I think that's one of the big things that ropes people back into logistics is just there's a lot of good people, and everybody's there to connect and help each other. So it kind of lends itself to staying in the industry. So.
Yeah, you form a lot of relationships, and the thing with logistics is that everybody's so different. It just brings so many different people into the same industry. And I guess I would equate Chattanooga to be, Chicago is to carriers what Chattanooga is to brokers. I've started to realize that. So
yeah, they call it Freight Alley over here. So
Yeah. I mean, what would you say your first logistics success was?
my first logistics success, um, as in like working with customers or like
I
landing
mean, what
accounts,
was
or
your first moment in logistics where you're like, wow, I accomplished something? Like, what was your first like, wow, this is like something I've accomplished, something big here, you know?
yeah, I mean, it's always that first shipment when it actually gets over the board. So I would say that was a big success. I remember the first load that I ran, I got the driver ended up going to a dentist appointment at the same time that he was supposed to be dropping off the load.
There
So
you go.
that was a failure, but then after that, I was able to get with another customer and start shipping some freight consistently. So, I mean, just getting that first load over the board, it's like, all right, this is doable. Whereas beforehand, you're grinding, making those 60 so cold calls every day and trying to drum up some business.
I
But
mean,
it's definitely,
what was your timeline from your first cold call to your first customer? Because that's always been a debate where it's like it'll take 10 days, 60 days, 90 days. Don't expect the customer for 6 months. I mean, that's always been kind of a heated discussion.
yeah, I think it took me about a month to really get my first customer, and then it took about two months to get anything like really consistent. Because I mean, you're building your book of business from ground zero, and especially coming out of college, it's you're learning the ropes of being a professional,
Yeah,
along
being
with a
an
whole new
adult.
industry. You know, yeah, you're learning how to adult. Um,
I mean, what would you say your first logistics fail was? What was a moment where you just kind of held your head in your hands and was like, something
uh,
went wrong here, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it was getting that call from a customer and him being like, "Where the heck is this truck?" And then I'm trying to get a hold of this guy because flatbed freight, those guys hate tracking. So I had like it was really difficult to tell where anybody is at. You're just kind of getting word of mouth. And so the guy's telling me, "Yeah, I'll be there on time." Next thing you know, I'm calling him and he's picking up in the dentist chair, literally, and he's like, "I'll get it over there by the end of the day." And then the customer is like, "Yeah, no, we're not doing this." So
Yeah.
that was kind of a wake up call, you know.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, I mean, I should say when I was a carrier, I didn't care to track. You know, we were always tracking, but luckily the market kind of did what it did and forced carriers to kind of track because if you
Yeah.
want the freight nowadays, unfortunately, you're just gonna have to track. So, I mean, that segues us perfectly into the next part. I mean, what are you doing now? What is TextLocate? I mean, give us some details about it.
Yeah. So TextLocate, it originated as a way to basically replace the check call process. Because as you know, calling drivers, it's not necessarily the most glamorous task. And a lot of the times you're calling them three or four times, trying to get a hold of them and figure out where the heck they're at. So instead of basically a verbal check call, you're shooting a text to the driver. They just click a link and it drops back a pin to their location. So we're not an app. TextLocate isn't an app. It's just all SMS based. So we're trying to basically help bridge that visibility gap outside of the apps. Because if you've got like any of these other tracking tools, that's great if you can get that constantly. But there's still going to be a contingency of people that
No, I
don't want to
mean,
get constantly tracked. You know?
I like that as the selling point, you know, an
Yeah.
appless tracking because I've had so many in my owner ops where I'm like, hey, can you download this or that? Like, I already have three. I'm done with this. I'm not
Yeah.
downloading any more tracking apps. And I told them, well, if you want to run this freight, unfortunately, you're gonna have to download the fourth or fifth or sixth tracking app. So
Yeah.
I think the whole appless utilizing the SMS texting that they're already doing every day seems like a good decision.
Yeah. I mean, that was the selling point for me when I first interviewed for the job, and it's been really cool to see how it's evolved since then. So, I mean, the way that I'll describe it to people is I think visibility is a lot more than a dot on a map nowadays. It's a lot of communication that goes into the life cycle of a shipment. So it's been really cool to see how we've evolved our platform to be able to do things like just chatting two ways with the driver, doing different integrations with TMSs, and then also doing a lot in the document retrieval time because I know that can be a big pain point is getting PODs back. So it's like, hey, how can we make any process as easy as possible? And I think using text for a driver to be able to just snap a picture of POD, text it over. That's about as simple as it can get. So it's been really cool to be able to kind of reverse engineer a lot of these complicated, quote unquote, complicated tasks and find the easiest way to go about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the funniest thing is it is quote unquote because you would assume that just retrieving a picture of a piece of paper from somebody who has a smartphone in their pocket so they can get paid on the freight they've just hauled would be a pretty simple thing. But
Yeah.
I think honestly the biggest issue with it isn't even really the act of getting them to take a picture and send it to you. It's the
Hmm.
fact that most of the pictures aren't clear or legible or are missing parts.
Yeah.
So but no, I
Yeah.
like the idea of, you know, an appless tracking. I like the idea of being able to send the POD and they just send it back to you. I mean, these are things that are just efficient. And I think even the older generation of drivers, because I mean, they're not the best with technology,
Hmm.
but I mean, even my 70 something year old grandmother has figured out texting. So I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, you know, that's an easier sell to the older generation of drivers out there for sure.
Yeah, I think it's kind of that low tech solution. It's like we've got all of these very sophisticated platforms out there. It's like, all right, that covers a certain part of the market, but how about the people that are not trying to, I don't know, get super bogged down in
Hey,
all
I
the
mean, you
all
even
the
have some truck drivers or conspiracy theorists, and they don't want to be always tracked. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of characters out there, man. I mean, truck drivers are a special breed. It takes a special type of person to commit to living in the truck and being out on the road like that. And I mean, there's definitely different types of characters, and
Mhm.
I've run into the conspiracy guys who are like, I don't want always on tracking. I'm worried about this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've
Yeah.
definitely run into those people.
Oh yeah, definitely. Everybody thinks that they've got the government watching them. Some, I don't know, eye in the sky, Big Brother type of deal.
Yeah, so you're the one that behind the meme when the weather balloon came in, and you were like,
Yeah.
"This is what drivers think tracking is to them."
Oh yeah, yeah. That Chinese spy balloon. That was one of the first memes because I'll throw out memes. I used to post a good bit more. I need to get get back onto it. But yeah, I posted a meme back when that Chinese spy balloon came out, and I was like, this is right on what drivers are thinking is going on whenever you give them access to tracking. But I think that's honestly a fairly accurate
Yeah, it's
assumption.
funny because that was my first introduction to you as a person because that meme was very popular, and I was, yeah, that's
Hmm.
very funny, man.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you guys say kind of differentiates you from your competition? And a kind of follow up to that is, I mean, how are you guys on pricing? Are you guys cheaper because it's, I mean, quote unquote, lower tech? It's a
Yeah.
simpler system.
Yeah. I
Not
think
to
the
diminish any of the results that
yeah.
TextLocate brings. I'm just
Yeah.
curious if the pricing more competitive due to the nature of the product.
Yeah, I mean, texting is just kind of a transactional service. So we try to make it as fair as possible, just giving buckets of transactions or pings each month. But we do month to month, so it's not a long term contract. A lot of people will be like, "Hey, you've got to sign up for a 2 year long, 1 year or 2 year long deal for this product that may or may not work." We're very much believe in our platform here with TextLocate. So we do month to month. It's not a long term contract. You're not stuck in anything, but it is definitely very affordable versus the competition. So I mean, like we've got a base plan that's like $250 a month, and you get everybody gets access to the platform. Everything's organized by load ID. So it's just really nice to have all of that centralized, and then we've got plans up from that that kind of fit every single company. So I'll work with anybody from a one-man agent all the way up to like a top 10 brokerage here in the US. So it kind of is a one size fits all.
I mean, I like the month to month thing because I
Yeah.
was a part of a company where I was not a fan of their current TMS, and I
Yeah.
was met with, well, we have about 18 months left on our contract. And I was like, all right, I'm probably going to head out of here, to be honest. So I think the month to month thing is pretty cool because you see a lot of these companies lock people into contracts and the tech either falls behind or doesn't perform how they would have liked after X amount of time. And I mean,
Yeah.
once you're stuck, you're stuck. So the month to month thing is definitely really cool.
Yeah. And then you get into like integrations or anything like that, and people try to nickel and dime you for literally any feature. So I think that's another aspect where we just have everything included essentially in
Fuck
our
yeah, you
plans.
got
So
BMW selling subscriptions for heated seats now. So I mean,
oh my
the
gosh.
the nickel and diming out in the space has gotten pretty ridiculous. Especially if you play. I mean, between BMW and video games, I don't know where does the microtransactions end. It's like you're paying for a product, but you have to pay X and X and X more once you receive the product to use it how you should have been able to use it from the
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I love seeing those videos and stuff where parents figure out that their kids have been spending like
yeah,
hundreds
like
or thousands of
Fortnite.
dollars on like Fortnite and stuff like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I would lose my
I mean,
mind.
Dooner's the one. Dooner's actually the one that's funny to me because he actually plays a lot of video games, which I didn't really
Yeah.
know until I got on over on X and I started seeing like this guy plays a bunch of video games and he has kids. And I was thinking like he's probably the dad who's catching like those Fortnite
Oh
charges.
yeah. Oh, 100%. But he's probably also like he's with it enough where he's going to notice. So it's like you got
Yeah, Dooner
probably
seems
some.
like the guy. So there was somebody I can't remember who it was on LinkedIn who posted that some company was charging him for 2 years for a service that he wasn't receiving, and I kind of like a bunch of us kind of clowned him in the comments. We're like, "You didn't notice a charge on your card for 24 months?" Like, I mean, I feel like Dooner would be the guy who would notice. I would notice, man. If something came out on my card, I would definitely, especially for 2 years. I mean, that's
Oh
an
yeah.
insane amount of time to not notice somebody charging you for a service. But
I mean, that would mean you literally didn't check your account for two
I mean,
years.
his excuse was that he was running too much business out of it and he couldn't be bothered. And I was like,
Oh, okay.
weird flex, but okay. Like, Um, I mean, what would you guys say you're best at? What operations do you fit the best? I know you said you can go from a one man team up to enterprise basically, but where do you guys kind of see the most action coming out of?
Yeah, I mean, for I would say that the biggest uplift for us has been setting up automation with customers. So either whether that's like custom integrations with like a custom TMS or existing partners that we have, being able to set up like location requests on untracked loads that just runs in the background or POD requests that runs in the background automatically. That's probably been the biggest uplift this past year. So we did have a lot of customers that were using it heavily on the manual side, and we still do. But being able to have anything run in the background and be able to take care of those check calls or document retrieval has been huge. So I'd say like API integrations or automations that we've been setting up have been the biggest value adds over the past year.
I mean, I
And
think
then
automation is
continuing to grow.
becoming that kind of word in
Yeah.
logistics where
Yeah.
I
It's a
think
buzzword.
yeah, it kind of is, but I mean, if you're actually doing those things, it's just that's probably the biggest value add you can add to a logistics company at this moment is just automating those like mundane things, check calls, POD retrieval, just those like mundane, unskilled labor kind of tasks, and
Yeah.
just allowing the skilled laborers, skilled employees to just go about using their knowledge rather than sitting there and inputting data, sitting there and making sure like those are all just kind of very simple tasks, but they're very important. I mean, you have to make check calls, you have to know where people are at, you have to do these things. But I think if you can automate as much of that as you can, that's kind of the recipe for success.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm thinking like if I'm running a brokerage, do I want my brokers to focus on landing more customers or doing check calls? It's like I
Yeah.
want to focus on revenue generating tasks, not this back end work.
Oh, it's
So
a no-brainer.
yeah, being able to automate that is massive. So
I
it's
mean,
cool to
tell
see
me
that growth.
about your day today. What do you do? What's your role at TextLocate?
Yeah.
What are you taking care of over there?
Yeah, so I'm an account executive with TextLocate. So I mean, it being a startup, we've been around for about 3 years now. So I'm doing the full life cycle of sales. So I'm prospecting, doing cold calls, emails, onboarding customers, managing those accounts afterwards. So it's basically from the entire process all the way through. So
Yes, you're like cradle to grave at TextLocate.
cradle to grave sales.
Yeah,
Exactly,
we're
exactly.
gonna just invent new roles over here, man. Like,
Yeah. I enjoy it though, because I get to wear a lot of different hats. I'm not kind of pigeonholed into one task all day, every day. So it's nice to have more of an organic day to day. So
yeah, I
I've
think
really
that's that
enjoyed that.
whole startup magic because I mean, I had the same feelings when I was working, in smaller carriers where it's just kind of me, the owner, maybe a dispatcher, and you got to do a whole bunch of random things that you wouldn't be doing if you were in an established, huge company. That's like you said, you'd be pigeonholed into like this is your task, this is what you do. Don't look, don't look at the guy next to you. And I mean, I think there is a magic in that startup stuff. If you're that type of a person, if you like to kind of do, like that saying, like that's not my job. I mean, at the startup,
Yeah.
everything is your job. Like every task is definitely your job. So I
Yeah.
mean,
And it's like evolving with you, like the company evolves with you. So being able to be a part of different developments, coming up with ideas, okay, could this be a usage case? And being able to build that out, I'm learning a lot more than I would in
yeah,
any other role, like an
yeah, you can make
established
a much
company, you
bigger
know?
difference in these type of situations. Like you said, you get a lot more knowledge, and especially if you have such a great team. I mean, I've heard nothing but good things about TextLocate. I mean, you guys have kind of blown up in the industry. I'm sure most, if not every person that watches this will have heard of you guys at this point. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I wouldn't classify you guys really as a startup anymore because you're out there. I mean, you're not some unknown company that people haven't heard of. So,
Yeah. I mean, I think to date we're working with about 170 brokerages. About so I mean it's been cool to see that growth for sure.
I mean, honestly, I had somebody ask one of my guests who was a broker, how many horses do you have in the stable, referring to how many customers he had. And he told us something to the effect of, it doesn't matter how many horses I have, it matters how strong they are. So, I mean, that
Fair.
170 doesn't really make a difference if you have three, that are those top 10 kind of people. So,
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's my view on it. But just to wrap up the whole kind of text locate thing, what's your guys' kind of elevator pitch if you had, 30 seconds to 60 seconds? How would you describe text locate to somebody?
Yeah, so I would describe TextLocate as a full cycle communications platform for everything from pre-book verifications, where a driver's at, if he can make pickup on time, all the way through the POD retrieval process. We handle all the communication that goes in between, and then obviously offer location updates as well via text, but not trying to pigeonhole ourselves with just being a location service. So it's a full cycle communications platform that organizes all your company's conversational data. So that
I
would
like
be
that. I like that description of how you're trying to say, we're not just a tracking company because
yeah
I feel like a lot of people that probably know of TextLocate have kind of through some marketing and word of mouth been like, oh, these guys are, a tracking service. And I mean, I think that's cool that you guys are saying, no, like we're more than that. We want to get into the back office kind of stuff. We want to expand a little bit and do more than just finding out where the driver is on the road. So
yeah, because you like address one issue and then you're like, okay, well this connects to this other
yeah,
thing. How do we solve that problem as well and synergize? So that's been cool to learn each aspect and the different
you know
pain
the
points in the
meme with the
industry.
guy that's in the office with all the strings everywhere, and he's
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, like I could just picture you guys sitting in a boardroom, like this connects to this and this connects to that and that, and then
Oh
you guys
yeah.
just have this like
100%.
board of problems you want to solve.
Oh yeah,
But
100%.
I mean, I want to get into some more personal things with you. Like, who are you as a person? This is sort of a new shift I'm doing with this
Yeah.
show, because I mean, I've seen a lot of content out there, and it's a lot of news stuff and news stories and current events, and then a lot of super business focused stuff. So, I'd like to kind of get into who are the people behind these things. What are their hobbies? What do they like to do? This kind of stuff. Some
Mhm.
relationship building. So if I were to ask you, what are your favorite hobbies? What do you kind of do outside of your work at TextLocate? I mean, what are you into, man?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for me is soccer. I play a ton of soccer, a lot of FIFA. I got
My man.
married back in November, so that's been a new life experience for sure. The past like 6, 7 months, so that's been awesome. Shout out to my
Yeah,
wife.
congratulations on that.
Got
Yeah,
to.
like that's huge news, man. I mean, you don't
Yeah,
look like you're that old, so it's definitely unless you have a fountain of youth I don't know about, but I mean that's awesome, man.
yeah, I'm not too old. I turned 29 a couple weeks back, so I've
Yeah,
got
that's about the right age. I mean, if
yeah,
you're in a healthy relationship, that is about the right age. So.
yeah. No,
But let's
that's
get to
been
soccer.
awesome.
I mean, what's your favorite soccer team?
Oh yeah. So right now it's difficult. I'm a Chelsea fan, and then I also followed Barcelona pretty heavily, like during the Messi era.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
it's a little bit more difficult,
During the Messi, Neymar, Suarez era, it was impossible to not
Yeah.
follow Barcelona. And
Oh,
I'm a United fan, so I'm not having the best time of my life the past few years
yeah.
either.
We may not see eye to eye, but we can understand each other's pain, right?
We can understand that the English league is definitely the best league. I mean,
Oh,
it's
100%.
the most competitive. There's the most good teams. It's not like four teams that win every year. I mean,
Oh,
technically,
yeah.
it kind of is the same
Well,
team that wins every
same team
year.
4 years in a row now. It's
Yeah.
terrible. I'm just waiting for Pep to
I
leave.
mean, what's your music type? What do you listen to? What's in your playlist?
Um, I listen to a fair amount of like indie alternate music. I'd say my favorite artist right now is a guy called Monrovia, and he's like an Afro Appalachian singer. Um,
Monrovia, like
Mon
Monrovia, like
space Rovia. So
space.
he's from Liberia originally, and now he lives here in the States. And coincidentally, I also played soccer with him, and he's a good friend of mine. But
Oh,
I
okay. So
really
this
enjoy
might
his.
just be a plug then. Yeah.
He's pretty big. He's pretty big artist now. He's a pretty big artist
Okay,
now.
you,
You
you've
check him
you've
out.
actually got me in this conversation. You've made me realize maybe I should make this a recurring segment. What's your favorite musician? Because that's hilarious, man.
Yeah, no, I mean he is my favorite musician though. Outside of him, I really do. Who are some of my other ones? I like Greta Van Fleet for a different genre. They're more of a rock band. Check them out if you haven't. Greta Van Fleet, very good. Um, but
So
yeah,
you're kind
I
of
used to
an
listen to a lot.
indie rock kind of guy. Is
Yeah,
your
indie rock
main
kind of guy. Yeah, I mean it's Chattanooga, so that's kind of what you get.
That's
It's
just the
the
vibe out there.
community. That's kind of the vibe. That's the community that's around here. So I've adopted that.
I can't wait to make this a clip and see how viral it goes.
Oh
See
yeah.
how true it is because Chattanooga is just gonna blow up about it. But
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, let's get into cooking. Do you enjoy cooking? And if you do, what's your best dish?
Yeah, no, I really like cooking. I've gotten better at it, I would say, relatively. I mean, making steaks is always great, more so because I like to eat them than anything else. I would
Yeah,
say
of course.
probably my best dish would be probably a chicken Alfredo. I make a pretty good chicken
Hey, you
Alfredo.
know what's funny? That sounds like it's not difficult, but I've tried to make a white sauce like a couple months back, and I absolutely suck. I'm a great cook. I cannot do Alfredo sauce, so I just eat
Yeah.
that at restaurants. I gave up with that whole thing.
It's tough. I'm trying to get into like soups and stuff. So like I'll bake a whole chicken. I'll take the bones and everything, boil them down, make a broth, and then my mom used to make this thing called pho ga, which is I believe like a Vietnamese dish. And I tried doing that one time and it went horribly wrong. So I'm going to take another crack at it sometime here soon. We'll see what happens. I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, I'm not a soup guy. I've tried. My grandmother gave me the recipe. I screwed it up pretty good. I
Yep.
gave up with soup. Um, but moving away from hobbies and stuff, what is the most ridiculous thing you've done in your life that you can talk about, like that you would be able to share with us?
Most ridiculous thing I've done in my life. Oh man, I've got like a bunch that are coming into my head, and I'm just like,
Yeah, but they're not shareable. That's the whole point of this question.
yeah. Um, I'll go for a college memory, of course. So me and a couple of my buddies found a big snake outside of our the place that we were living, and we were like, all right, let's kill and eat this thing. So I remember we killed a snake, and then we put it in tinfoil, cooked it up, and then literally just took bites out of it. Each of us took bites out of it, and we were throwing up everywhere. It was terrible. I would say that's probably one of the top five
I
stupidest things
think
I've done.
if I saw a huge snake, my first reaction would not be "let's kill and eat this thing." So you
Yeah,
win.
yeah, it was a stupid decision, but at the same time, we were like, all right, we're out here, we're done, we're making memories. So little did I know that would come back up on a
May have
podcast.
been some alcohol involved in that decision making, but who knows? What's your craziest logistics story?
My craziest logistics story. I mean, so the past 2 years at the Freight Waves conference, we've been running a kind of party van slash shuttle, and I have been the designated driver for it. So I would say
You've probably seen some things.
yeah, I've seen some
And
things.
you
So
remember
I've
seeing
had
those
like,
things.
yeah, here at the Freight Waves conference, I've had 30 people packed into a Mercedes Sprinter van, like dancing and having a great time. So I definitely had some experiences over the past 2 years just driving that all day and all night for that conference. But yeah, I would say some of those spectacles.
Yeah, I think we can leave that one to the
Yeah,
imagination of the viewers. I mean, a
yeah,
logistics conference, packed sprinter van. That sounds
yeah. We did
interesting.
do the first year. We ended up going with the lean guys and went to McDonald's at like 4 a.m. one of the nights, which was hilarious. I would say that
There
was
we
one
go.
of the one of the crazier ones that we've done.
It's actually funny because when I was hanging out with Frey Caviar team, they love McDonald's. I was going to McDonald's the most I've ever been in my entire life living here, so that was good. Lastly, on the list of questions, what's your favorite joke?
My favorite joke. Oh, gosh.
See, I was advised about this question, but when I was asked it, I didn't. I don't have a favorite joke. Like, I mean,
Yeah, I don't really have any like canned jokes. It's a lot of it's just organic, spur of the moment. I could,
see, that's the thing. I don't like this question
yeah,
because I have a lot of jokes, but I wouldn't be able to think of a good one right away. And we'll just skip that question. I don't like that question. So let's finish strong for my segment since we're gonna have the final segment coming up. But you already know what it's gonna be. It's gonna be chicken wing choices. So drums or flats.
Um, so I was doing some research, watching some of the different podcasts. It surprises me how many people say drums. Honestly, I like flats. I
Wrong
I
answer.
don't know.
Wrong answer.
No,
Ranch,
it's
ranch
ranch,
or blue cheese, man.
ranch or blue cheese. I like ranch, and I like really hot sauce. So I don't know if you've ever seen Hot Ones. It's a hilarious YouTube show where
Yeah,
they
of
eat
course,
like
of course.
crazy hot wings. So I've done that challenge multiple times
Wait, did
with
you
hot
try like
ones.
the actual hot one sauces?
I got all the sauces.
How is
Yeah.
that atomic one with like the nuke logo on it? Is
Oh
it
my
actually wild?
dude, it melts your face. It's
Yeah, that's the one
insane.
that always gets them. Like,
Yeah,
there's
and I
even the hotter ones, but they're not as reactive as that
well the,
sauce.
the other ones like taste okay. Like they have
Yeah, they
flavor
have a
to it.
taste. Yeah, they
The
have a
bomb
taste.
is just acid. It's like it's terrible. And I remember I touched my nose as well. Never, yeah, that ended up really poorly because then it got all
There.
my sinuses.
All right, so we're going currently with flats, very hot wings dipped in ranch, and are they breaded or non-breaded?
Non-breaded.
All right, man, you're 0 for 3. That's gonna be it for the chicken wing choice. But here we go, man. Introducing a new recurring segment on this podcast. It will be featured at the end of all or most shows moving forward, and you're going to be the first person It's going to be a segment called Rapid Fire, hosted by Lev, who's the founder of Everest and current
boy.
president of Alpha SR, a staffing and recruiting firm specializing in logistics. So
Sweet.
without further ado, I'm going to bring on Lev and leave you guys to it.
All right, the pressure's on.
Hey, Morgan, thank you for your time today. Really enjoyed the segment. I think what you guys do at TextLocate really is a great thing for the industry. Although you may be killing a lot of outsourced jobs, like it's probably a good thing. So we want to get to know you a little bit better. We're going to play we're going to play either or. You only have two choices. You got to pick one. You're going to have 5 seconds. So,
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Full truckload or LTL?
Full truckload.
Blondes or brunettes?
Brunettes.
Free lunch or free dessert?
Free lunch.
I think I know the answer to this one. Calling or texting?
Let's go for texting.
Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
Marijuana or alcohol?
Alcohol.
NBA or NFL?
NBA. I like that.
Nintendo or PlayStation?
Nintendo.
Tequila or whiskey?
Whiskey.
Bezos or Musk?
Musk. Yeah.
Google Suites or Office 365?
Google Suites.
Burger or hot dog?
Definitely burger. Definitely burger.
Side of fries or side of veggies?
Fries. Gotta go fries.
Freight waves or freight caviar?
Let's go freight caviar for that one.
Olympics or Super Bowl?
Super Bowl.
Bitcoin or gold?
Gold.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll go gold.
Budweiser or Miller Coors?
Miller.
Tabasco or Sriracha?
Tabasco sauce.
Comedy or horror?
Comedy.
Would you rather be on a dating show or a survival show?
Oh, I've always wanted to be on a survival show. That'd be awesome.
Nice. Biden or Trump?
Oh man, you're really putting me in a spot. I'm gonna go Trump on this one.
All right. That leads us to the end of the first segment. Second segment, I'm gonna say a word or a couple words, and you have to say the first thing that comes to your head. You have 5 seconds. You ready?
All right.
All right. Favorite color?
Red.
Truck order not used.
What was that?
Truck order not used. TONU.
Sorry.
All right. We'll skip. Favorite outsourced country?
Colombia.
Lumper.
B.
Strong solo.
Sergey.
Non-competes.
Terrible.
Favorite city?
Chattanooga.
Really?
I love Chattanooga. Yeah.
All right. Detention.
Money.
Your favorite carrier?
Ryder.
Your least favorite carrier?
Everybody says Landstar.
Fair enough. TQL.
TQL. Freight caviar.
Biggest regret?
Debt. College debt.
I hope Biden's helping you out.
Yeah.
First come, first serve.
Food.
Fraud.
Highway.
Celebrity crush.
Jessica Alba.
Good choice. Best TMS that you've seen?
I don't know if I can answer that one. Most partners are probably on the cloud.
RFP.
Hell week.
Favorite historical figure.
Davy Crockett.
Amazing. Drink of choice.
Coca-Cola.
Favorite video game.
FIFA.
What comes to your mind when I say love?
My wife.
Late pickup.
Money. Out the window.
Cereal.
Cheerios.
Taylor Swift.
Nah.
Logistics.
It's the place to be.
Your favorite logistics company outside of yours.
I don't know if I can answer that one either. They have a
All right, we got it. Got a
bother
couple
anymore.
more questions, I guess, in addition to the segment. What is the worst complaint that you've ever heard in your professional life?
I didn't have enough time.
No, we'll give you a little bit more time. What's the worst complaint?
No,
you've
I'm
ever
saying
heard?
like I literally like when people tell me I didn't have enough time.
Oh, I didn't have enough time. I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. And what's your wildest story when you worked at My Nanny?
Oh man.
There's got to be something.
Yeah. We just
Where were these nannies from? Like what countries?
I
were they?
mean,
Eastern
they
Europe.
were all over the place. No, they're all here in the U.S. We're working with a lot of U.S. families. The problem is I had NDAs. So I would say there was a situation where somebody was accused of having like a knife under their like bed or something when they were watching some kids, and the mom freaked out, and it was a whole situation that we had to deal with. So I can't really get into super specifics because again, we did have NDAs, but yeah, there were some interesting situations that came up for sure.
Awesome. Morgan, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure getting to know you, and we shall be in touch.
Appreciate it.
Instead of letting Lev off the hook here, I just want to commemorate the first ever quiz show rapid fire segment with Lev. So thank you, Morgan, for coming on and playing along with us. I'm happy that you got to be kind of the first person to experience it. Thank you, Lev. for
He's
being
still
a part of
alive.
it.
Yeah,
Smiling there too occasionally.
yeah, you had me sweating on a couple of those. I was like,
Yeah, I was laughing in the backstage at a couple of those. Man, it got me. My favorite one was Frey Waves versus Frey Caviar. Just the look on your face got me.
It was priceless.
yeah. I mean, we're in town with Freywaves. We have great relationships with both of those, so it's not.
How would you rate this segment? What was it fun to be a part of? Is it something, was it stressful? Because I mean, I told Lev I'm not gonna play along with him yet. I'm gonna maybe he can do it to me for the 10th or 15th episode of it. But I mean, how did you feel?
I mean, I definitely think you're going to get some good reactions and some very interesting comments because it is like kind of quick fire. It's like, all right.
Yeah, it's right at you, man. It's in your face. It's quick. Lev's got you thinking on your feet. So.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Lev, for being a part of it. I'm going to take you off. Thank you.
Hey, pleasure. Have a good one, guys.
All right, Morgan. Thank you for stopping by the TextLocate team. I hope we stay in touch. Wish you guys all the best in your endeavors. And thank you for making, truck drivers' lives easier because it is a much easier solution out there.
Thanks so much, Alex. Thanks for having me on. It was great.
Yeah. Great rest of your day, man.
All right. You as well.
And that's episode 13 of podcast. Have a good night, everybody.